When I used to write spec sheets, I wrote them much more technical. You know, oh, we're going to do this rebar, we'll fill in this many cells and all that. And when we started to write these spec sheets, I think we came about it more from a sales perspective because everybody's got that. There's minimum codes that have to be built to, right? You guys understand that our big deal. If you're up north, you deal with snow loads on your roof. Here we deal with the house not getting imploded this way and the roof coming off this way. After Hurricane Andrew, the codes have been continued to be revised to deal with wind loads, and the wind zones are continuously have been revised to deal with wind zones. So we deal with design pressures. So those technical aspects of the spec sheet, to some degree, are, I don't say they're meaningless, but it's a de facto item. They're there, and we can talk to your clients. And my thought is maybe we ought to prepare a technical piece as an adjunct piece that the people sign, so it's there, because there are some pieces on it that I think matter. For instance, we include a 3-course stem wall and a stem wall, and I'll get back to this in a second, but I think this is all germane to the conversation. When you come out here, there's just a lot sitting here. FEMA says in a coastal zone, which most of what we saw is going to be in a coastal zone. If you get into interior Cape Coral, for the most part, you're not in a flood zone anymore. But in all these perimeter areas of Cape Coral, you're in a flood zone. And that's going to either be AE8 or AE9 or AE10, meaning that your finished floor elevation has to be a minimum of that height above what they call NAVD, but essentially this means sea level. So we come in and we look at that, and we have to determine how we're going to get there. Now, the cheap way to build houses is to pile a bunch of dirt on the lot and then dig into that and then put your foundation, or what we call your footer, into that big pile of dirt. I think that's poor construction because I think eventually it leads to problems in the foundations, eventually it leads to issues with the construction. An even cheaper way to do it is to come out and lay out your whole house, and it's called monolithic pour. You guys have probably all heard that. There's a lot of builders that use monolithic pours because it's cheaper. So they'll come out, they'll form all the footers, and they pour the footers at the same time they pour the slab. It's called monolithic slab. And it's an issue, and it continues to be an issue, and people continue to do it because it saves them 10% of the cost of their concrete. I just don't want to have, because I don't think there's longevity in that. So what we do is, if this is the virgin soil after we scrape it, we'll put a little bit of pre-fill on it just to kind of level it out, and then we dig through that that pre-fill into the virgin soil. And then we dig our footer and put the steel in it, and it's got, you'll see, it's got rebar sticking up like this. It's just a big concrete outline of the house. Then we'll come back, and each row of concrete block that goes on top of that footer is called a course of stem wall. Up north, we call it a foundation. Here, we really call it a stem wall. Of the thousands of houses I've done in Cape Coral, probably 10 have needed anything less than a 3-course stem wall. 90% of the time, we're going to have a 3-course stem wall. So we include it as part of our standard features. Now, what really happens and what you're going to sell against is you'll see a lot of 2-course stem walls. That third row of block on a house that's a typical windward house costs me $800, $1,000, maybe on a house like this, $1,200 is all it really costs. But what builders do is they capture you by saying, oh, you probably not going to need that 3-course stem wall. Once you need it, you don't have a choice because your slab has to be at this finished floor elevation. Now they can charge you whatever they want. Most commonly, the number I see is $4,500 for the 3rd course of stem wall, which is a 300% markup on that cost. And that's typical of the marketing that's used on Cape Coral Parkway in Chiquita, because once you're in and signed, what are you going to do? Say, oh, I don't want my house built to flood code? Sorry? Yeah, you don't have any choice. So that's one of the first places that builders get you. So we wanted to include that as part of what we're doing. It's not on here, but I think it's maybe speaks to the fact that having a little bit of a second sheet that's more technical that you can walk through with people might be a good idea. So that's the first place that we start to take this divergent path from a lot of what people do. But we made this spec sheet more speak to what people find, like, you know, things that are tangible, that they can touch and they can see in the construction. So we start with the fact that we're using impact rated glass and sliding glass doors. No hurricane shutters, none of that required, because if you've ever lived here and you've tried to put panels up and down, nobody does it until the storm's, you know, 5 hours from hitting. and the winds are blowing 40 miles an hour, and you've got these big sheets of aluminum, and it's unrealistic. So the difference in cost, because, and this is another place where builders make money, they'll say, oh, the upgrade to impact glass is $10,000 on this house. Well, that's true, but maybe you should give your buyer's credit back for the shutters that you now don't have to install. It's not just the $10,000 difference in the cost of the glass. There's a credit. But once you're in and you want to upgrade, those are all common ways that builders sneak extra profit on a deal without ever telling your clients, oh, yeah, here's, yep, no, okay, now we're just going to keep all the shutter profit. We haven't done that. So we've priced the house with the impact glass as standard. So the other thing that I see a lot done is the exterior doors just have privacy locks and there's no deadbolts. It's a security thing. And the same with all the pressure balance control valves in the showers. Those are anti-scald valves, so that if there's children or older people in the house, the water can never get hot enough where it's gonna do harm to anybody. Most of our designs are similar in nature, right? They're great room concepts, large outdoor living spaces. There's twists and turns to them. I haven't even designed a living room, family room, dining room yet, because frankly, I can't imagine anybody building one these days, but maybe. Maybe we'll add one to our repertoire. But in any case, I want people to have a creative input into the design of their island. The shape of the island can be anything. It's only limited to people's imagination. So we do a lot of free-form islands, a lot of fun. Try to time in. This one is angular because the house is angular. So that's something that we have in there. Custom cabinetry with 96-inch tall cabinets, soft closed doors and drawers. So we put an allowance in model by model based on the kitchen size. These don't have a soft closed doors and drawers in them yet. I don't think they may. But modern cabinetry, when you go that far, it'll pull it shut by itself. You don't have to slam the cabinets anymore. The same is true of these doors, and I don't know that these are there. And so there's a little piston in there that gets charged when you open the door. It just soft closes. It's a nice little feature. One of the other things that I see in a lot of houses that I don't like is a lot of the upper cabinets are short. They're the short version, the smaller cabinets. I like the taller cabinets, whether you use them or not. These are obviously taller than 96 inches. But this row, this is where our 96 row would stop. And so we work with our clients individually. I call them like buckets of money, right? So as we're talking about your house, and I sit down with Michelle, and she says, well, we like cabinets, but it's not a big deal. Okay, our $15,000 allowance is going to put in wood cabinets, soft closed doors and drawers. We'll be limited to a certain number of brands that'll work. And then I sit down with Dusty, and he said, well, cabinets are ideal. We want American cherry ball. Okay, we may have to change that, but it's a good placeholder. It gives the people the flexibility to sit down with our cabinet designers and design their kitchen and have some input into how their house ultimately lives, rather than me saying, okay, just pick your door style and I'll do the rest. We like to involve our people. I think we're good at it, but if somebody wants to be, I think we're good at it, but if somebody wants to be involved, they can be involved to the extent possible, and that little pile or bucket of money gives them the flexibility. That's what that's there for. And the same is true with the granite. It's enough money to do a nice granite, a level 2, maybe level 3 granite, and mix and match on their islands and make some choices about what's important to them for featured granites. But we'll help the clients through that. Joey and I do a lot of granite shopping for people where we go around and we'll look and say, hey, this is a discounted slab, it's a level 5, we can buy it for a level 3 today, and that type of stuff. So it's just another feature we have. Stainless steel undermount sinks, that's included. Mullen one-touch faucets included in our deal, and a tumble stone backsplash. Now this one, I'm still trying to decide what I want to do. I don't think any of these are particularly right, but I like the backsplashes tumbled stone in our houses. So we got all the way up to the bottom of the hood, back down over it, rather than just taking a strip of granite here, which is the most common way I see houses finished with just a little 4 or 5 inch block of granite. I don't know about you guys, but I'm a sloppy cooker. So when I set a pot of spaghetti down here and it splashes on my drywall, I go to rub that off and try to get spaghetti sauce off my no bueno. So we tumbled stone or tile. They don't have to use tumbled stone. A lot of tiles will work. Joanna's very good with colors, and she oftentimes will help people pick out and do things with their back. And you guys can too. You guys be involved as much as you want. But we have enough money in our budget to tile the backsplashes fully. And I think that's a really important feature. Tray ceilings with 5 1/4 crown in the great room and master bedroom. I don't know which one I'm on. So 2-step tray ceilings in the front entry and dining room. Oversight. Okay, let's just stop. All of our plans have tray ceilings, which are step-ups in the trusses. In typically the great room, the master bedroom, usually the dining room, and maybe one more. And those tray ceilings, forget the wood trim in them, but that tray box really, just so everybody's on the same page, doesn't cost us anything. You go to the truss manufacturer, I feel like that magician, you know, like on Fox, right? Don't show this to any builders. Because builders love to charge for tray ceilings because it's it's really an infinite markup because they don't cost anything. So we put those in, we let people know this don't really cost us anything. What may cost is if we want to do some of this wood detail and beams, but if we just want that tray ceiling in there, we've already got it factored in, but we've put crown molding in it, which does cost money. We've already got that factored in. So it's there, they're decorative, you can paint them a deeper color if you want. And that's another spot where it's like people really, if we have crown molding to break up the ceiling and the walls, there's no real difference in painting your ceiling a different color. If we have to cut it in, there's a small difference in cost. So we've allowed for crown molding in all the trays and all the rooms. Oversized 7 1/4 baseboards, personally, I hate tall ceilings with, I've seen with 3 1/4 base, which is your standard size base. Sometimes you'll see 5 1/4. We like to use at least 7 1/4 base in these main areas, and then we'll step it down into the bedrooms because by the time you get into a 12 by 14 bedroom, you put a bed in there and dressers and all that, you can't see the baseboard anyway. But when you can see it, it's still taller than the normal 3 1/4 base. But your main great room area baseboard is much taller as a standard. One of the things that I do, again, and it's deferential to the design process, is any interior wall of this house is sound attenuated by insulation. So that if you're in that bedroom and somebody's got the TV on here, you can't hear it. If you decide to go to the master bedroom, go to sleep, and people are playing pinochle at the dining room table, you're not listening to people talk till 3 in the morning. So that little bit of sound attenuation, I think, is a nice feature, and it's one of our takeaways if somebody doesn't want it. Most of our designs feature walk-in pantries. This house, I took it out and I made the pantries as part of the cabinets. There where Carol Merrill was standing. Left and right of the refrigerator are slide-out pantries. It just worked better for this house. I'd like to trade that for what's in door number 3. And then laundry rooms are another place that we get a lot of requests to make sure that the laundry rooms are oversized, so you're not just in a little compartment. So you look when you look at our laundry rooms, there's always a space for cabinetry, washer, dryer, folding area, typically a laundry sink, because it's a space that gets used a lot, so it's a thought on space. Our interior finishes, I use as a standard, the standard door casing is 2 1/4. I use 3 1/2 inch door casing as a standard. I typically use Howe casing. I like Howe because it's very, very rich. This is a technical detail. But on the back side of the Howe, it's very deep profile. It's a wide casing, so it accepts baseboards and things like that very, very well. And it's a much richer profile than the standard colonial that you'll find in 90% of the houses. 4 hinge solid core doors leading into all rooms. Why solid core doors and why 4 hinges? Same thing, sound attenuation. When you grab a door, it's 8 feet tall, it's hollow core, and all that does is transfer sound into the next room. So any door that we have leading into another space is solid core, and these building is oftentimes a game of hundreds, if low thousands. So if you want to save a few bucks, use a 3 hinge door. An 8 foot tall solid core door on 3 hinges is going to work. It's going to bend. You're going to go to close it, and the door will hit the strike. All that kind of stuff. So we're always looking for an eye to longevity and no maintenance. So that's important. All windows cased with Howe casing wood window sills. Typically Carrara marble. It's that little gray marble. And if somebody wants to sell you, like, oh, we got these great window sills, they'll put in the little travertine window sills. In a house like this, the window sills in Carrara marble are about $350. In the travertine, are maybe $450, $500. This is a much more expensive option, but I think it absolutely sets off the windows. So we put a wood windowsill here, and we dog-ear it over past the width of the opening here. We put a little piece of crown trim underneath it, and then we run casing. You picture frame this. It's called casing. And then what I do is I smooth finish the drywall returns to the window. So instead of putting wood on here, which is called jamming them, which is expensive, we just smooth finish the drywall, and this all gets sprayed and trimmed. So it looks like it's jammed, but it is cased. And that's a really nice way, if people are from up north, usually react well to that because windows like that, that's typically how they're done up north. So it's a nice touch. You'll see we trimmed around the sliders. I think those are very nice additions. But again, if somebody wants to save some money at the front end, this is all, well, that can be done later. This is very difficult to do later on. Not this part, but this part is very difficult. So I tell people at a minimum, if you're gonna do this at some point, do this part now, because tearing off your marble windowsills and trying to finish the drywall to it later is very costly. So that's what that is. Obviously oversized tiling speaks for itself. I like big tile, and you guys can see these are 24s. Typically, I would think in the budget for what people would have in our spec sheets would be a 20-inch porcelain tile, nice Listellos in the showers. So I wanted enough money in the budget to really have the entire house done in tile. Carpet in the bedrooms, because believe it or not, I still get that request on what our bedrooms carpeted. I actually talked to people out of it. So we made our standard tile in the whole house with an oversized 20-inch tile, 18. And that tile fluctuates. You know, you could do 18 porcelain or a 20-inch level 3 ceramic, kind of the same price. So as long as it fits in the budget, we can go and pick it together. And we're a direct representative of Shaw. In the world of, you know, the kind of spotlight things, the rock idea is just something fun that we did because, again, I think the bathroom should be a nice way to start your day or end it. And the shower, I wanted to have a very spa-like zen feeling. So that's how we did this. But this is as open to your clients as your imagination and our imagination. We took the whole Imagine Windward moniker very seriously. I mean, we developed that for a reason. We didn't just pull that out of thin air, because I think that's how we approach housing. Let's don't rush to sign a contract today. That's not our goal. It's not like, and you guys have all heard me say this a lot, it's not like, you know, a dress that you buy and you go, I hate that, I'll take it back. This is it, you know, so if you make bad decisions, you're gonna live with them for a long time. So our goal is to slow down, educate people about what the building process really is, and make sure that the floor plan, when we're all said and done, we walk them through every space in the house and we've talked about every detail for two reasons. One is so they can make an informed and educated decision about the floor plan, about the options in the floor plan, about what works for them as a combination of budget, livability, and that type of thing. And the other thing is if we're good about communicating and then writing down those details, which we are, if they're going back to, you know, Canada or Germany or California or Kalamazoo, they don't have to wonder what's happening here at the house. What's happening? Do I know what I'm getting? Am I going to show up and be surprised? Because we take a lot of time to go through those details and write those out for them before they go. So I think that's a huge part of what we do in terms of customer service. And one of the things that I would suggest to you in staying involved, and I do it every day for almost every day for people, is I get on Skype or I get on FaceTime with my clients, and it's such a great tool. So if they're back in England or wherever they happen to be, I've got people in England, Germany, Canada, I just turn on my Skype and I walk them through the house. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this, what do you think? Yeah, very cool, I like it. So, no, that's stupid, I don't want to do that. Okay. You know, or here's an update on your house. It's so much better than just sending them pictures, because they feel like they're there and experiencing what's happened. So I can do that for your clients, so you're welcome to do it, and that's a big part of how we do things. But you'll notice that I didn't put a door on the shower. Again, I want the spaces to feel open and unencumbered. So when we're all done in this bathroom, I don't have to pass my wife in the bathroom and kind of turn my shoulder because we're bumping into each other. I wanted the space to live that way. You'll find that in all our bathrooms. So, and then we can look at the other side of the house. And then maybe outside would be a good spot. Mm-hmm. Again, I wanted to be good size. I think in this particular model, it's fine for a growing family. It'll work nicely. The bedrooms are always, you're going to find on any of our plans, a minimum of 12 by something, so they'll accommodate virtually any size bed. 2 twins, a queen, a full, all that'll fit in here. In this particular floor plan, I wanted it's a big house, and I wanted it to fit on a standard Cape Coral lot. And so we designed a Jack and Jill bath, which normally I'd say, but in this plan in particular, I think it works. So if you come through the bath, You've got a vanity on this side. You've got some neat touches here. This floor, rather than having a big curb in it, just slowly starts to slope in. So the floor just breaks. This finally shower enclosure breaks the two vanities. And again, I wanted there to be kind of a spa-like feeling inside the shower. So you got two nice baths, a huge linen closet, because I think you need that, and a good sized bath and pocket doors for both bedrooms. So I like this particular setup quite a bit. One of the things that you'll notice in the house is that we use a lot of natural woods for warmth. And I didn't want it to be a hunting lodge, but I think the dark woods add a lot of warmth and depth of tone to the house. So it's a nice combination of the warmth of the natural wood. Cypress is a native Florida wood, so we use it quite a bit because it stains out anything from clear to this deeper, rich tones of almost a mahogany color. And again, I just wanted there to be nice tones, and I think the trick is to tie the house together front to back, top to bottom. So in this particular case, we matched the tones to the cabinets, and those are further matched to our interior doors, which again look like very, very expensive doors. But in reality, I used poplar, and I bought clear poplar, and it stands up the same color as mahogany. So that one person in 10,000 would know that that's not, maybe if you work at a lumber mill, is not mahogany. But my cost is probably a third of what mahogany doors are. So I got the look and the feel and the warmth of the wood without having to spend money for mahogany. So that was just our decision there. And those are things that we can help everybody with as we go along. How do we get the look and feel? Got a nice powder bath. It's tucked away so you don't feel like you're walking in the bathroom in the middle of what's going on, but it's still very accessible to the room. So that's what we put there. And then here, my thought was, if you're writing a check for the house, you don't want to take your office and stick it in front of the house and have a nice view of nothing. So we put the office back here because I think it works very well. So this all pockets open, and this whole corner room is open. And if somebody wanted to, it's a great design too, because this easily could be expanded into a third bedroom. It could be kicked out that way and become a huge family room. If somebody said, hey, we want a family room in this part of the house, and we'll push the cabana back as long as we find a lot that accommodates that. So the design inherently has a ton of flexibility in it, what we can do for people. We're currently shrinking it down. We're hoping to have it last week, but it looks like it'll be the end of this week into a 2,200 square foot version, because I think the design overall is that good. So you walk out here. This is my favorite part of the whole house, because I think this is the part that everybody gets wrong. This is where people who live here and are moving here want to live. They want to be outside, they want to be part of what's going on, but there's never enough space. You get a lanai that's half the size and that's it. Instead, we've got this huge eating space, built-in kitchen, pool bath, so you don't have to go pump it through the house right there. And then if this is all open, the whole house lives to this space and the lanai that's behind you guys over there. So you've got eating, living, you've got the TV on and swivels, you can watch it from your beach into the pool, you can turn it over here to the swim-up pool bar. All this stuff is part of the outdoor living experience. So if you're here and you're on vacation, this is how I would want to live. So my thought was, well, why would I want to live like this every day? I mean, if I'm going to work 15 hours a day, or I'm retired, or I have people here, I want to create my own little resort. I don't want to have to drive to Captiva or Clean Waters when my company comes. I want that from my own house. I want to wake up every day. That's why I live here. But otherwise, I might as well live back in Ohio. So that's the thought behind this whole entertaining area. And again, the pools can be anything anybody wants them to be. This is just my vision of how I would use the pool. I got a little beach entry, so if I want to sit in that, I can have a couple of chairs in there, and I'm in 8 inches of water or 6 inches of water. You know, if I had children and they want to play in with people and grandkids, we can baby barrier that off so they have a splash area. I've got a swim on pool bar, because frankly, that's what I would use, right? I'm going to watch movies, I'm going to watch Monday Night Football. I'm going to have dinner in the pool, because why wouldn't I? So I use my jacuzzi 4 nights a week, even in the middle of summer now. So I think the jacuzzi is a huge part of it. And the negative edge and the fire pits out there, that's just because it's cool. So, you know, that's just a fun thing. But just so you know, we like to get multi-use out of stuff. If you look beyond the negative edge, there is a patio down lower, and why do we do that? Because that'll be a transition area to a dock. And I use my fire pit in the winter months at my current house 3 or 4 times a week. For real, we sit outside and we just light a fire and hang out outside, so we're not just sitting in the house watching TV. And that'll be the backdrop for the fire pit. We have the 2 fire bowls. We have the water kind of cascading over that edge with nice lighting in it, and that'll be kind of our shimmering ambient backdrop for having a fire and hanging out. And can't say playing a guitar, I wish I could, but that's that's the kind of thought that goes into that. So the other thing that there's a lot of subtle touches that people maybe won't notice, but they'll see at night. As we put in the lighting out here, you'll see that there's all sorts of hidden lighting. So this place will just look good at night. It'll look pretty, it'll be washed, and sometimes you go to a place and you know what, it feels good, it just feels good, and you go to a hotel and I just like it. A lot of times that's lighting, and that's the subtleties of lighting and decorating. And I think we're fairly good at that too. So you'll see a lot of lights that are up and hidden. I don't like a lot of hanging lights and that kind of stuff because over time they get corroded and all that. So we use a lot of recessed fixtures to keep them up and out of the way. And that's a big part of what we do. You see the can counts in our houses would be 70, 80, 90 cans. Okay, in the standard house, for a lot of people, they might be 10 or 12. I understand the girls cost money, and that's again a way that people can take money out of, but there's a lot of hanging fixtures that you don't have to buy. That's not part of your lighting allowance. When we have our lighting allowance, that's have to buy cans and fluorescents. That's to buy all your hanging fixtures and cans. So most of our lighting needs are always met with recessed cans. And because I think they work, or wall sconces, because that reflected light as well. So that's kind of our philosophy of how we do things. That's kind of how we look at building in a nutshell. And that's really the overall design of this. And again, the state it goes, yes, we can build you the model. That's wonderful. It's a great house. It's a cool house. It's a fun house. But it's really more to show you our vision of how we live and how kind of all of our floor plans flow rather. So if this isn't the right house or this isn't the price point, great. We have a house that's got the same kind of thought process into it from 180,000 on up, 190,000 on up. And those houses all kind of fit this model of livability and the same kind of touches for quality. That's important. We've got to live here. We've got to shop with our clients. We don't want to be ducking from anybody in public. So you want to make sure that when you walk through the Publix, you can hold your head high. And that's how we build our business. That's how we build it from referrals, and we build it. Haven't done any advertising. All the houses we've done built have been from referrals, from people, from realtors that we've done a good job for, from family and friends. I want to continue for us to do that. And that all comes from us educating the people that we're talking to and getting to say, look, we're going to take an hour of your time to do what we just did. You build it, that's wonderful. If we're not, you build it, fine. But you're going to be a lot smarter when you walk out about whatever decision you make. And that's how I try to approach it with people. I don't ever try to say, we got closing. What's my closing question? I don't have a closing question. I know enough about sales to know that I could do that, but I don't. My whole deal is in the statement of what we do, and then we let the work and the experience speak for itself. And I find that people are much more comfortable with that process than, what can I do to earn your business today? That's all, to me, it's all cheesy nonsense. I don't have any place here. We just want to educate people, let them see what we do, show them our floor plans, talk to them about what the process is going to be, and it's naturally going to lead to us. I think as we meet people here, no matter how I say this, it comes out arrogant. Very seldom after we walk through this process a couple of times and take the next couple of steps with people, do we ever not end up building for those people. Because it's all about the experience. And if we deliver on that, they don't have any reason to go to us. It's a very transparent, open philosophy of how we take people through this experience, and that's very important. So that's what I'm going to try to strive to do here in the model for you guys every day. I've got my desk here. Ask the builder, he's right here. And about that, kind of like Dusty, not paying attention. He's heard me say this 1,500 times. So when I hear from Dusty, when I'm talking, they're like, yeah, what he's going to tell you is, I think that's wonderful. And we'll all get to that point because I want you to have the same product knowledge that I have. So, but I'm here when I'm open for questions. So, but that's kind of how, generally speaking, I walk people through what we do.
And now that the camera's off.